Hello, everybody, and welcome to Early Morning Coffee with the Lofty N Scaler. I am Curtis, your Lofty N Scaler, and I'm about as average guy as you can get, who collects more trains probably than he actually makes. But I am devoted and dedicated to trying to get this railroad up and going. So, for those of you who haven't been here before, um, the reason I'm called the Lofty N Scaler is because I have to build my train layout in a loft. And it has a set of its own challenges. Number one is the stairs going up. It's only so wide and so long. It's the same type of stairs that you have in the attic. So they fold down and collapse. They're collapsible stairs. The cat likes to live up there. So we leave the stairs down most of the time. Now, I did finish the attic. It's not like an unfinished attic or anything. During the wintertime, the heat goes up there and keeps it warm. Sometimes it gets a little bit cool, but I can put a space heater up there if I want to. Summertime, I have a window air conditioner that I've installed in there, so it'll keep it cool. It's carpeted and it's all drywalled. The disadvantages to it, of course, like I said, are the stairs. Good morning, Container Man 68. How are you? Thank you for showing up for my live stream. It may be just you and me, but hey, um, that's okay, right? So, um, so the loft is completely drywalled. I put outlets every so many feet, thinking that you can never have enough outlets for anything up there. So I've got tons and tons of outlets. Like this basement here that you're seeing here, this is my set for my YouTube photography channel. And if you want to check that out, you can just look at Curtis Hustis Photography on YouTube and you'll find it. And yeah, so I was going to use this as my layout room, but then it got converted. So I actually thought about building a shed for my trains. Hold on. You guys can hear me okay? Yeah, I got my coffee now. It's not so much early morning coffee, is it? It's like 10 o'clock in the morning here, Central Standard Time. So it's like I had to delay my coffee until the show. So, um, and I used my cup that my wife got me for Christmas. I like big mutts, and I cannot lie. I've got a Rottweiler named Pepper. So she's a big mutt. Um, anyway, but I started on the layout not too, well, gee whiz, like a year ago. And then I kind of went away for work. So to give you an idea, and somebody's calling me. To give you an idea of what I actually do for a living, I'm a photographer. And I specialize in e-commerce photography. So I shoot photographs for jewelry. Jewelry, I specialize in jewelry for places like Amazon, Kohl's, Walmart, Crate and Barrel. Although Crate and Barrel wasn't jewelry, it was just more like shiny things like silverware, dishes, glassware, things like that. So it kept me on the road constantly. So I only spent like maybe a day home a week, roughly. I drove over 60,000 miles a year. And so I decided to finally kind of stop doing that, even though it paid horribly well. It just was for 7 years. I've been home, like 50 days a year. Um, and they're calling again. I really should mute my phone, shouldn't I? It's in my pocket. It's buzzing. I don't know who's trying to call me, but of course they call just when I start a live stream, right? So hey guys, all right. So who do we got here? Enscale Union Pacific, Evanston Division, Subdivision. Yes, fourth cup of coffee. That's pretty bold. I can usually do two of these and then I'm buzzed for the rest of the day. Michael, good to see you. Thank you for coming by. Um, yeah, so we're starting to get a few people here. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know why I'm simulcasting on YouTube and on Twitch right now. I don't know if that's going to continue doing. I'm going to continue doing that. Twitch is kind of a gamer's platform, but none of my comments are showing up in either, so I had to pop out the chat. So not quite sure what's going on with that. So I appreciate it. So now I did record a quick video to give you guys an idea of where the loft is. Since I'm not in the loft right now, I thought I'd play that video for you. It's like about 1.5 minutes long. So let's take a look at that and I'll be right back. Hold on. I hit the button, but it didn't. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lofty N Scaler. Today we're going to take a look up at the loft to see how things are and what the status is. I haven't taken you guys up there in a while and I apologize. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay folks, that's Miss Tabby. She gets up on everything. But here I am coming up into the loft. I had originally designed, for those of you who are new to the channel or haven't been here before, originally designed my house so that the basement would be a model train layout. Unfortunately, my daughter, oldest stepdaughter, needed a place to live, and so she came to live with us for about 3 or 4 years. Well, she is finally gone, so then I was going to be able to take my space back and build my train layout down there. But as fate would have it, I decided to start a YouTube channel that talks about photography. And so then I converted that area into a YouTube studio, at least for now. And so now I'm back here in the loft, and these are just typical stairs that you would have for an attic. So they're not even really great stairs. They're kind of a pain in the rumpus to go up and down, but this is what I have to deal with. I did finish this loft just in case I needed a man cave or I needed to put a train layout up here. Just thinking ahead. So let's take a look and see what's happened. Okay, so this is part of the loft. To give you an idea, I am kneeling on one knee right now. This is a 12-12 pitch roof, and I'm here with what was going to be the first sectional layout. And I was going to build it on blue foam, but I've since decided not to do that, and I've decided to build a box. And on top of that box will be something like plywood or something like that. And then I'm going to use the Woodland Scenics riser system to do the scenery. I have moved, this used to be up against the wall. So this used to be over probably 10 inches against the wall. But the problem is I have no room for a backdrop here. And so right now I have room enough for about 11 inches of backdrop here. And I still have some room here. On the other side is going to be another portion. I'll show you that now. I figured the best way to do this is just to hold it, not be on camera. But to give you an idea, that's the downstairs, and that's my dog, Pepper. But here is basically this part of the layout. Comes around here, comes down to the end here. There's a window. I'm going to get rid of this blue foam over there. I'm going to build a box for it. And then it's going to come down this wall here, all the way here. And these are my nice cases that my wife got me, but I've never filled with all my stuff just because I've been lazy. And then the wiggly giggly ball that my dog plays with that makes a noise, so I threw it up here so she wouldn't play with it so I could go to sleep. Anyway, I'm a bad, evil dad. And then down this wall. So it's going to come all the way down this wall here. It's going to loop around. This is the bed where my grandson stays when he's here. And he's like 13 or 14. 14, I think. And then his TV set. So to kind of give you an idea, I am going to have a single line coming down this wall, and it's going to loop around here, all the way around here, and then I'm going to have 2 feet of layout come out here and down this wall. So it'll be kind of like a big dog bone. Oh, and that helps if I actually watch and time it so when the video ends, I actually come back. So new software. I use a Mac, so the software is a little bit different on the Mac than a typical software. And if you notice, I shaved my beard. I'm no longer hairy. I originally grew the beard for No Shave November, and so that was my dad is a cancer survivor. So he didn't shave, so I didn't shave, and I took his photograph, and then we took our photographs together, and I don't have any copies of it to show you, so you'll just have to use your imagination. So one of the things when I'm thinking now, I didn't do this last time really. When I was looking at my layout, I really wanted to try and think of things that I wanted to add to the actual layout. So let's see here if I can pull this up. So, okay, so here I am. This is going to be a board, but I don't know if I can actually, you'll be able to see this. So let's see here. I'm going to title. Of course, I do this. What I'll do is I'll zoom in here. Like I said, new software. Okay, so one of the things I really want in this layout was something to do with coal. When I was a kid growing up, my dad actually worked for Peabody Coal Company. My dad's an attorney, and he's retired now. But he was the general counsel, vice president general counsel for Peabody Coal Company out of St. Louis, Missouri. And so one of the cool things was that, you know, he would take me around to some of the mines, and I get to go up and drag lines and things like that. But in Dugger, Indiana, which is just north of here, they had a mine in Dugger, Indiana, Peabody Coal. And I believe it's still there, but I'm not quite sure. One of the things that was in Dugger, they had their own Peabody Coal Railroad. So I don't know if any of you guys are N-scalers out there, but who is it? Bluford? Was it the ones that made rail cars? Is it Bluford? Blue? Something like that. Shops made Peabody Coal rail cars. And so I bought a ton of those things. So, I mean, I've got like 50 cars of those, right? Because it's always like a limited run. So if you don't get them now, then you got to get them on eBay, and then the guys on eBay gouge you like it's no tomorrow, right? So they overcharge for the thing. So I got a bunch of them, and then I got 2 of the Atlas Peabody Coal locomotives. Now those locomotives, I think they're Jeeps, but that's not what they used at Dugger. They used Dugger mine. They used RS2s. So I got a couple RS2s, but I'm going to have to paint them because nobody came up with the Peabody Coal scheme. So in total, I'll have 4 locomotives and about 50 or so Peabody Coal cars. Yes, Michael. He said one thought on the low ceiling: operate from an office chair, or he operates on an office chair for his lower level. I'm going to have a stool, a pneumatic stool with rollers on it that I can scoot back and forth. It is carpet, so I might have to go to Office Depot and get some of those plastic pads for for like an office underneath the desk, so you can roll around. It would just protect the carpet too and keep it from getting stained in case I spill on it. Container Man 68. No, you don't have to apologize for a Mac computer. Macs are wonderful devices. If I consider, if you get a Macintosh, or they don't call them Macs anymore, if you get an Apple computer, we will thus consider you enlightened. So no, okay, all jokes aside, I use Macs for video editing and photo editing. I'm equally comfortable with PCs. I've got a big PC laptop upstairs, and then in the loft, I'm going to have a all-in-one PC, like a Lenovo or something like that, because number one, I'm going to use Railroad and Company software for the layout control, and that's only PC. So I have to have a PC. So if I had a Mac up there, I'd have to run Windows on the Mac, which actually, by the way, Windows on Macs actually run really well. But Macs are like horribly expensive. This particular Mac is a 27-inch. It's got a 5K monitor on it. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. It's i7. It's all spec'd out. It's all got the bells and whistles on it. So it rocks pretty good. So I can't complain about that. I forgot where I was talking. What was I talking about before I got sidetracked on Mac computers and being enlightened? Okay, so here, let's go back to my list here. So the first thing I want is something to do with coal. Or some sort of coal loading facility, right? And please forgive my spelling. And now, really, people? And okay, so one thing that's nice about Mac is it ties in with your iPhone and everything, but then it rings on your actual stinking computer while you're doing a live stream. And I guess you just turn off the phone. I don't know who's trying to call me, but you know, it's always the worst time. And yeah, so anyway, so it's got to have some sort of coal loading facility. Now up in Indiana, so let's see here. Go back here, and then let's go back here. Oops. Hold on. What just happened? That's weird. My camera is going nutso frigo. Camera 1, camera 2. So this is my webcam. I somehow have lost my, oh, I know what it is. So my camera, it zoomed in on focus. So here we go again. So sorry guys. So we'll go back to camera 1, and there we are on camera 1. Okay, so yeah, PCs are cheaper than Macs, but when I looked at this, to get a computer with these specs and a 27-inch 5K monitor, it really was pretty reasonable. So it's just different strokes for different folks. PCs are great. Windows 10, I like Windows 10, so no problems there. So let's actually take a look here at a map here. And this will be Google Maps. I got the chat window up there. So let's take a look here. This is north of Evansville, Indiana. This is like Princeton area, Princeton, Indiana, and just north of Princeton, if I can find it, is a coal mine where they actually load. It's not Peabody. I think I passed it up. Maybe if I go to satellite view, it'd be better. I believe that's it. Yeah. So here's the loading facility for Norfolk and Southern. Norfolk and Southern picks it up. Now you'll see over here in this area, this is actually where they have the conveyor brings the coal in. And it's actually a couple lines coming around here. It's not a perfect circle. You can see there's the tail end, or that's the front of the train, tail end of the train. So I'm making everybody sick now. It ties into the main line here. And then there's also a spur here. So this takes up a stinking ton of room. And I'm just not going to have, I mean, if it was a circle of like a perfect, I could maybe do a perfect circle, but it's going to be like a ton of room to take up. And then to give you an idea, let's go here. This is the actual layout of the room. Okay, so this is the north part here, and this actually is 82 inches by 36 inches. And I thought about putting the coal mine up there, but again, one of my pet peeves is the ability to reach the back side of the layout, right? And so I have a hard time reaching over 36 inches worth of space. So Container Man, you know that coal mine? It's an underground mine. It's north of here. I'm not quite sure who runs it, but I think they supply coal to Vectren. I'm not quite sure about that though. Peabody also has coal mines to the east of here, off of I-64, and and Peabody Coal has mines down in Kentucky. So I think the further south you get, the more sulfur content you get in the coal. Not quite sure about that. Sorry, I had to get something to drink. So this is it. It would have to go up into, hold on a second. Let's go back here. So the coal mine would have to go up into this area here. Into this north part here. And then this side here is going to be, the green part is actually stairwell. That's where the stairs come up. This part over here on the right, that's where I have gotten all my storage shelves and stuff like that, storage cabinets. And then the wall takes a little bit of a lip here. And the idea is to come all the way around the room here, come down this wall and back up here, and then do a loop in here, and then come back all the way around. So if you follow my mouse there, you can kind of get it. So up here, loop, and come back. And then this side would come here, and then do a loop, and then come back. So you'd have overlapping dog bone. So this side would have to be several inches lower than the upside. One of them's going to have to be lower, or one of them's going to have to be higher. So to overlap each other. So I can do a loop in this corner here. And then I'll have storage yards here, and then a double main line coming all the way back and around. So, and I'm going to use Cato track or Cato track, their double main line for that. Now, if track is concerned, I'm using, I'm building my own switches, and I'm going to be using Micro Engineering's code 55 for all the visible track. The Cato double main line is only going to be areas that I can't see. So, and I just want a reliable track to have the trains run on. Cato is about as reliable as you can get. It reminds me a lot of I don't know if you guys are familiar with Merklin. So Merklin trains, Marklin, I think they say over here in the US, has a center rail to it. They're AC, but when I was a kid growing up, I had them, and they had the M track, which was like made out of tin, and it snapped together just like the Cato track. Like I said, it was third rail, but the third rail in the middle was little itty bitty spikes, and so you really couldn't see them. I mean, if you looked for them, you could see them. And then the locomotives had a shoe down the middle that connected with those spikes. Never had to worry about reverse loops and all that good stuff. But that being so, let's see. Yes, that's off Container Man. That's just off of Highway 41. It's actually as you are going north on 41, it's purely on the right side. And what is with this phone call? So I'm going to turn on my phone off. How about them apples? If it's important, they'll leave a message, right? Gee whiz. I don't recognize the phone number, so it must be the county jail. Somebody's calling me mistaken number for the county jail. I've gotten a few of those before in the middle of the night. I actually, when I worked for AT&T, I was a manager, and one of my reps called me from the county jail, and he wanted me to hold his spot and not fire him for attendance. What do you say to that? He left me a voicemail, so it was out of my hands. So, yeah, the idea and the reason why I want to overlap, Michael said, interesting idea about overlapping the return loops, and the reason being is I want the trains to have a long run. So I want to be able to have it so I can just run a train and let it go and loop around and loop and back and forth. And there's nothing quite soothing as a train running along. The second thing is I wanted to be able to have some long yards. So my original idea was to have a Union Station where I would have big passenger trains come in and park, like a stub end station, come in, do their thing, and then pull back out. I kind of abandoned that idea just because the amount of space it takes um, to have a Union Station. I mean, these trains are long trains, right? So they're 6 feet long. So when they're 6 feet long, uh, you got to have all kinds of space because when they leave the station, they got to get turned around. So they either got to loop back around the station, or you got to have a long area that where like St. Louis Union Station, it was here, then the St. Louis station was here, so the trains could go this way, and then when they went into the station, they would just kind of go in like that, and then they would come back out. So interesting idea. My last layout, I did have a station, um, and I'm going to be computer controlling this, but I found some problems with the computer control with the layout design I had. Trains would start to leave the station, but then stop because I would have another train coming in, and the outbound track was a long track. It's probably 10 feet. Um, Trains would get held up because they didn't have an open track to go to. When this other train was coming in, the computer would see that that train needed the track, and so it wouldn't leave the station, and then I'd have a bottleneck. So it was a design flaw for computer control, and that's the idea. I'm going to have computer controlled trains, and I'm going to operate manually the freight trains for the spurs, for the industries. So let's go back to my list. So I know I want something to do with coal. If I could find my mouse, let's go back here. And then so you guys can see. So let's do this. And I wish, okay. So I know I want to do something with coal. I know that I'm going to have some sort of station here going on. Sorry, I'm resizing stuff. So I know I need at least one station. I'm going to have two stations. And the stations are going to be local for Chicago Metros, which I have. And this is a totally hypothetical layout, guys. This is not true. I'm going to take prototypical elements because the actual engineers designed those, so I'm going to try to incorporate real elements into it instead of trying to think of something myself, which was the problem last time, I think. So I'm going to have everything from Chicago Metros, Peabody Coal. As far as I know, Chicago Metros never ran with Peabody Coal trains. I'm going to have Union Pacific. I have 844 and all the complementary cars to go with that. but they're just going to kind of come through occasionally and maybe stop at the station. You know, it'll be parked on the side, and then I'll tell the computer to run it through once a week or something like that. Scale time. So, like every Wednesday, I can set up routes and timing of routes and things like that. So let's take a look here. All right. So I want the 2 stations leased for Chicago Metro Industries. I want, we had said coal already, so, but I also want to do something along the lines of some sort of grain industry, something to do with grain. There's a plastics company here in town that takes covered hoppers, so some sort of plastics company where I can deliver covered hoppers. I could do something to do with oil deliveries. Might be interesting. One thing I would like to have is I'd like to have, and I don't know how practical it would be, but I want to have a line that runs through a city for like street running. So line for street, if I spelled that right, STREAT, street, STREET, right? Right, okay. So street running, will that be main line? I know down in Kentucky, CSX has a town down in Kentucky that runs through the street. Let's see here. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, well, I built this house with the idea of the basement was going to be used for a model train layout. I'm thinking about actually making a shed and then insulating it and then doing AC and heat in it. So I know that, I don't know if you guys watch Simon's Shed. He actually is building an Ed scale layout in England in a shed. I don't think he has air conditioning in that. I don't know if he's got heat in it. But in England, it never gets horribly hot. Well, it has in a couple years. But yeah. So so some sort of main line, double main line. And so the thought was with the double main line, one direction would be going to, and then the other direction would be opposite. So I don't know if I'm going to have like where they can run side by side. I'm going to have to worry about reverse looping on it. So I'm going to have a section, like a long section of track for the long trains to accommodate a reverse loop. And it just could be a stretch, just one stretch. But the double main line will go off and then loop around and come into the other side. So I'm going to have a reverse loop somewhere because it's all going to have to come back down to one thing. And so I'm going to have to make a section of that a reverse loop. So I got to think about that. Double main line. It's going to be DCC powered, of course. And I use 2 systems. I've got the Roco Z21, which I got from DCC Train in Cincinnati. Great place to go shopping for stuff. But another place is great is Iron Planet Hobbies, and they were a sponsor of this show. But I have DigiKeys DR5000, which I've talked about before, which is super cool. I'm probably going to be using the DigiKeys DR5000 as my main power for the layout. And the reason being is the European LocoNet and the Digitrax LocoNet are like incompatible. In other words, I can't plug a Digitrax LocoNet device into a Roco Z21. It's missing a pin for power or something like that. I don't know the technical aspects. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. But the DR5000 has a LocoNet plug for the Digitrax equipment and a LocoNet plug for the European LocoNet. So, and I've got track detection from Roco, from Digitrax, or not Digitrax, from Roco, from and DigiKeys. track detection units, all LocoNet. I've got servo decoders from DigiKeys that will switch my servo switches. I have Uhlenbrock detection devices, which is Uhlenbrock is a German company, and I bought those all from overseas. But Iron Planet Hobby now sells DigiKeys. They're like the U.S. distributor, and I think DCC Train up in Cincinnati also sells it now, or they just became a dealer. But definitely visit Iron Planet Hobbies. They have ESU and Roco and DigiKeys and Digitrax. And Ryan there, he's really like a DCC expert on this stuff. So let's see here. Yes. So your wife has confined your layout to the layout room and won't let you out of it. I know. Well, that's why I'm in the loft. I suggested I could put a part of the layout in the bedroom. She said no. Interestingly enough, though, she said I could put in the master bedroom on 3 walls, like where a train could go back and forth, like a shelf layout. And I was thinking about doing that, but in HO, not N scale. So thinking about that, since I've got multiple DCC systems lying around, I also have a Digitrax system too. You know, so when I was making all kinds of money, I accumulated all kinds of cool stuff. So, let's see. It would be Highway 57, Container Man. We don't have a 55, but the Highway 57, and I'm pretty sure that you are correct with that. All right, so DCC powered. I'm going to go with the DigiKeys. I spelled that wrong. DR5000. Let's see here. What we're doing. Let's see here. It's all going to be track detection. I'm going to use Railroad Company train controller. Now, Railroad Company train controller is a PC-based software, so I'm going to have to use my PC laptop. And then eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 23-inch all-in-one PC up for the loft. The reason being that this layout, I can put the track diagram on it and it'll all fit on one screen. So I really don't think I can do anything less than 23 inches. And the reason why I went with Railroad Company, because it's train controller software. It's probably one of the most advanced train controlling softwares out there. iTrain would be next, maybe JMRI. But the reason I didn't go with JMRI is because I'm not a computer guy and I'm not quite sure on my ability to write macros and things like that, whereas train controller will do it for me. It'll automatically calculate routes and things like that. So that's why I spent $600 on $600. Did I say it was $600? And then they give you a dongle, right? So they give you this like little thing, and I thought my wife threw it away because she didn't know what it was. And you have to have that dongle plugged into the computer for the software to work. So here I'm thinking that my wife threw away the dongle, $600, but it turned out she didn't. She saved it. She just put it someplace safe where I couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, I just threw away $600. And you can't get a new dongle. If you don't have it, you're SOL. So, and then let's see what else. Maybe a brewery. You know, I have to figure out how much space I'm going to have for all this stuff. So I may not have as much space as I want. In the town, I'm going to have like little sidings and things like that. So the tracks I'm building, the switches I'm building, are going to be a number 6 switch and a number 4 switch. I think it is 5, 4, 5, 4. I want to say 4. And I'm going to be building my own switches. Like I said, now for the stuff you don't see, it's going to be Kato. So I'm going to have to mesh Kato 100 code track with the macro scale 55 code track, which will be interesting. But it can be done. Where there's a will, there is a way. All right. So, all right, let's take a look, see what's going on here. I think they do have a truckload out, but I haven't seen it. You guys are having a conversation. Okay. Yeah, there's multiple underground mines around here. So there's no strip mining in Vanderburgh County, which is southern Indiana. It's illegal to have a strip mine in southern Indiana. So they have to have underground if they do it. But my coffee is getting cold. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. So that's kind of the wish list. On the show, I will tell you about the show. Will have Ryan from Iron Planet Hobbies here to talk about DCC stuff. I'm trying to get Alexander from the AK Crazy Russian. He will be on the show, hopefully, maybe next month, to talk about DCC issues and things like that. So we got some things planned. Let's see. N-scale Union Pacific Evanston subdivisions. Curtis, I like your idea for double track main line. In my case, doing that was prototypical, like the prototype, and allows for you to run empties and loads in opposite directions at the same time. Yeah. So that's one of the things I was thinking if I had a mine. I was trying to figure out, okay, so things I'd like to do, but, it's like impossible to do unless you have all the space in the world. And I don't have all the space in the world. So one of my original designs was to have a loaded train going to a coal mine or to a power plant. And then I'd have the power plant separate from the coal mine. And then it would leave the coal mine and go into a tunnel and then go around the layout hidden until it got to the coal mine. And then when it got to the coal mine, it would reemerge from a tunnel to be reloaded. Now the empties would go. The empty train would go. Let's see. Basically, I'd have the trains go opposite directions. The empty would go one direction. The loaded would go the other direction. So you see the loaded train going from the coal mine to the plant, and then you would see an empty train going from the power plant to the coal mine. But then those two trains were going behind the scenes opposite. So in other words, I wouldn't have to take out the coal loads. When they got there, they would just kind of go back and forth. And one layout I had designed was so the power plant was on one side, and then the coal mine was on the other side, and then it had a hidden track in between. So they just kind of pass each other and then come out. The empties would come out by the coal mine, and then the loaded train would come out by the power. Yeah. So anyway, that's the idea. And then you would see them going to the plant to their perspective or respective places. But I don't know if I don't have room for that. So I am going to have some hidden track, but around, especially where my grandson is, that's probably where we'll see it. So, yes, Michael, yes, some industries use multiple cars, so we'll just have to play it by ear. I've got a ton and ton of kits to put together. I've got a Union Station I would love to use. Don't know if that's going to happen unless it's just a pass through, and it would have to be on the other side of the room somewhere. So we'll just see how that works. So, and then I'd like to, like I said, I'm going to super detail the track so the track looks as realistic as possible, and then kind of work my way out from there. Again, like I've got 844 and it's tourist train complement. I've got 4 or 5 metro trains, and those are push pull. So you'll see those passing through. I've sort of abandoned the idea of having a Union Station because it just takes up too much room. So you just have to use your imagination that it's going to Union Station. I have several Amtrak trains that you'll see pass through, and then just sit in the yard, do a loop, and then come back through. So they'll be going back and forth. So that's the idea. So there'll be constant traffic on the rails, and then I'll be running the freight. The long trains, long trains are neat, but they're not that much fun to run. So the fun is in the industries and doing the freight and the switching. So that's the plan. Well, Michael, it wouldn't be a true hidden track. In other words, you just wouldn't see it. Remember that this is only going to be about 2.5 feet deep. So it would be where I could have a removable, easily removable backdrop where I could get to it. In other words, I'm not going to have a hidden track that I can't get to easily. Yeah, so Michael said hidden track is a slippery slope, Curtis. Personally, I don't like it, but was forced to use some. Uh, anyway, so that's the idea. So, all right. So, I showed you guys sort of the layout room. I haven't really finished the diagram on it yet. So, let me do this so I'm not so prominent here. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So 2 feet, I should have about 36 inches in between both sides. So I should have 3 feet should be enough room to navigate, I would say. And then down here, again, this is a narrow shelf. This only going to be double main line coming around that corner, double main line. Then it'll split and then do a loop. But then I'm going to have a yard in here somewhere. So like I'm going to, I don't know if I can, oh, no wonder. So this is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. No. Duplicate. There we go. So this is going to be down here like this. So it's going to be 2 feet. But again, it's that slope ceiling. So I'm probably going to have to keep this off the wall over here. But I got plenty of room on that side to do it. So anyway. Well, guys, it's 11:17. I don't know how long we've been going. Probably 45 minutes. But I'm going to call it a day for right now. Hopefully, we will have some guests coming on later, and I'll have some pre-played videos and things like that. But we'll have a topic for each week. So I want to thank for those of you who came by. Thank you for showing up, and I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching this on the replay, please subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications when I post a video. I'm going to be building boxes to go on top. Now, my bench work that you saw in the video earlier was actually from Cam Connect. And I know you can build directly on Cam Connect, but I'm going to build a box. So in other words, I can just take the box up and then hand it down the stairs if I ever have to move it all out. Yeah, Container Man, I would, but it is really, when you're down there, there's nothing that's going to be able to run underneath that slope when you get close to the wall. I mean, it goes 12 inches for every 12 feet, or 12 inches. It goes up 12 inches for every 12 inches out. So it's really a steep pitch. And I may want to run a train behind it anyway. So I can move it out. It gives me a little extra space. It gives me like 11 inches behind that I can have a hidden track if I need a hidden track. So it's sort of a win-win. But anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks Container Man and Union Pacific Evanston Division. Everyone that came. Michael, thank you for coming. And anybody else I missed. But listen, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. And we'll see you next week if you can make it by. Again, it's going to be 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So no matter where you are, that's when it'll be. But thanks for coming by, and we'll see ya, I believe, next time. Take care, guys.